can you turn your volume up a little bit? Let's see if we can hear you.
Or is it still?
Oh, nope, now you're on mute.
Oh, yeah, there we are.
There.
I feel like my grandma in front of these hip young people. Stop embarrassing.
That's how I always feel, Kinsey.
Thank you so much. My name's Kinsey Schofield, and I'm with The Nocturnal.
Hey, Kinsey.
Hi, and I have to start out by saying, Louise, I have 4 dogs, and if you hear like pitter patters, I know you're a dog lover. I knew you would be okay with it, but other people aren't. So
honestly, normally at my house, there's 5 rescues barking nonstop. So don't worry if they bark.
I love you. Okay, tell me about Catherine, because she's beautiful and she's brilliant, but she is oh so complicated.
I think that, Catherine is an extremely empowered woman, and she was inspired by, a big menagerie of all of the femme fatale characters I've seen in cinema, whether it's Jean Tierney in Leave Her to Heaven, which was one of my absolutely favorite movies, or Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard, or Barbara Stanwyck in Double Indemnity, or Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. I took all of these characters that I personally found so captivating and so inspiring, and combined them all into one character, but I wanted to do a femme fatale with a bit of comedy and a bit of sass. And more than anything, I just wanted to create a character who, can do it all on her own and is tough and confident and smart.
I love it. And Ed, Tyler, tell me about him, because I loved him. He's my favorite masochist ever.
He's the nicest guy in the world. He just happens to steal on the side, and he meets the woman of his dreams. I don't think he was expecting it. He certainly wasn't expecting, what she is in her full package. Some surprises there, I think we can say that. But look, I mean, this movie's about love, albeit a twisted version of love. And he goes on that journey. He's absolutely swept away, and hopefully it provides quite an entertaining take on romance.
Absolutely. That was actually my next question: is it a love story? Walk me through this process. Because it is, but sometimes it doesn't feel like one.
I would say that this movie is all about love, and it's about the fact that love can soften even the coldest of hearts. I think that's really the message.
I'd echo that, absolutely. And I think, there's a quote at the end of the movie which says, if it's not madness, then it's not love. And I think to a certain degree, hopefully not to the degree that this film exhibits, that we can all agree that there's been some madness involved in the loves we've probably had in our lives.
Yeah, and Louise, there's a message at the end, and it totally caught me off guard. It was so sweet. It felt like I was getting to know you to your core, and maybe you know what I'm talking about. Like when you're on the bike, you get off the bike.
I'm guessing, yeah.
I mean, to me,
let's all just be a little nicer to each other.
That was so relevant to everything that's going on right now. Yeah. And I felt like that was a brave direction to go and a brave way to end the movie. Can you tell me about the process? How did that scene come to fruition? And how did you go, yes, we're going to include this because this is really important?
Well, so there's a strong arc. Catherine starts off as this sort of diabolical, very unlikable person. And as I said, love softens her, and she comes around. And Catherine in the beginning isn't necessarily very nice, but by the end, she's nice. And as a young kid, I watched all of the John Hughes movies, and at the end of all of his movies, there was a warmth and a nostalgia, and you walk away from the film feeling like you feel good in your heart. And I wanted this movie to not just be like an entertaining thrill ride, but to end with a warm message of love and morality and kindness. And I think, whether it's, politics or other things that have divided so many of us over the last couple of years, and throughout the world as well, it's been a tough and difficult time for so many people. And I wanted to end on a message of hope and love, and to remind people, we all need to just show each other a little more kindness.
I love it. And it's also important to show that like people change, people evolve, people are good deep down. We should always believe that.
Yeah.
I was immediately obsessed with the 80s theme.
Yay.
Do you have a favorite? I mean, I'm going to ask both of you, but I just love listening to Ed speak. I forgot that his accent was so magnificent in real life. Do you have a favorite 80s movie and a favorite 80s song? And are there any Easter eggs to that in the movie?
Toto, Africa is a pretty big one, you know, for me. But I mean, look, I'm so excited. You know, I get to do a dance number to this song. I think that's probably my mother's crowning achievement when it comes to anything related to her son. To me, you know, the fact that she gets to see me perform a dance routine in a movie. So I do one to that song, and you know, for the character at that point, he is just so excited. He just can't hide it. So this film is.
We used to sing that to each other in between the takes.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I love it. So do you have a favorite 80s movie, or were I have to imagine that you appreciated 80s films. I mean, there's like The Breakfast Club. My favorite was Weird Science, which I felt a little bit about because Louise is so hot. And
I just watched that again last week.
So great. I just think the 80s are so fun, and this was such a great tribute to the best aspects of it.
I'm so happy you see that, because you know, I loved Flashdance and Footloose. I remember being a little kid in my living room in Scotland and dancing back and forth across the rug, watching Footloose and dancing along. And obviously, there's lots of little nods to those 80s movies throughout the film.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with like E.T., first Home Alone movie. You know, maybe 89, maybe 1990, but. You know, we'll bring it in if it's 1990. But I mean, look, there's so many great films. I think the 80s was really rich era for music, for film, for all sorts of things.
You know, just to jump in, the movie was really an homage, you know, and a love story to the 80s, if you will. I loved, you know, I wanted to put all of the elements of the 80s, including, I mean, it was sort of like the greed decade, and it was very materialistic, and it was very, you know, the 80s was a decade of ambition and glamour, and I wanted to include all of those, but there was also, you know, a warmth and sentimentality to that decade as well, and I wanted to include that as well in the movie.
Yeah, when you said money never sleeps, I was like, there it is!
Wall Street! Yeah, there's lots of lines, like there's lots of little sort of buried treasure for movie fans in the movie, and it's like movie trivia, if you can pick out some of the lines that were borrowed from other 80s movies.
Well, that's how I know that you really are such a movie buff, and you totally deserve, you know, this is your baby, and you deserve every good thing that's said about it, because you can just see how passionate you are. Ed mentioned a little bit of 90s. I'm just wondering, is Taylor's Plaid an ode to Cher Horowitz in any way, shape, or form? Because I love the yellow plaid he had wrapped around his waist.
The thing is that I wear one outfit in this movie, and Louise's character goes through about 65. You know?
I mean, really, several costume changes while Tyler stays in James Dean attire. I have that written down. I love that.
Wardrobe budget. Always happy to do that. You know.
So cute. All right, and I did want to ask you about the costumes. Louise, how much did you have the ability to incorporate any of your own wardrobe? Did you keep any of it? What was that process like? Because you dressed so awesome.
So I wish I could have kept all of it, but I didn't. I did keep the blue dress that you see in the poster, because that was my all-time favorite. And I think I kept one or two others, but you know, I was really, really involved in selecting the costumes. And, you know, I know when I watched A Simple Favor, I was just mesmerized by the costumes. And, you know, I mean, the costumes are just such a fun aspect of the film. I really wanted to make fashion a big part of it because it's fun.
I love it. That's so cute. Who is your favorite Peloton instructor in real life? Mine is Alex. I'd give him a liver. Like, I love Alex so much.
To be honest, I haven't used my Peloton in a while. I need to get back on the Peloton. I need to get back in shape. I've been going to a couple of spin classes that are outdoors here in Los Angeles, but I'm going to go with Alex. Why not?
Yes, I love that they have outdoor spin classes in Los Angeles. I didn't know that. That's great. Ed, are you a spinner? How are you keeping up with your physique?
So I was first introduced to spin class through Louise. You know, that was part of our team bonding on this movie. We went to Soul Cycle in LA, and you know, I went a couple more times, and you know, I enjoyed it a lot. And you know, Louise is a big fan of it, and so is my manager actually. And she, they speak very highly of it. But I like to do a bit of boxing. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm in England right now, and we're locked down, so things aren't open, so there's not much variety available, but you know, the park and the resistance band and the skipping rope are pretty good. So
I love it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. How did you two get together? Have you worked together before? Obviously, I am a huge Chuck Bass fan. I died when I got the opportunity to do this interview. So are you a Chuck Bass fan? I'm curious.
Who isn't, you know, an Ed Westwick fan? I mean, I have never met anyone that isn't an Ed Westwick fan. And actually, when I was thinking about who I wanted to cast in this role, I was thinking, I've got to find someone who has that certain level of like charisma and strength and fortitude, because Catherine is a bit of an intimidating character, and obviously she literally makes mincemeat out of men. And when I thought about Ed, I was like, wow, he is everything. He would be perfect. And after he read the script, he came over, we met, we super vibed, we got along terrifically. And I'm so happy that he agreed to do my movie. It's been such an honor to work with him and to become good friends with him as well over this process.
No, the chemistry is amazing.
thank you. No, I was just going to add, you know, I think, you know, my manager kind of brought the idea to me because they knew Louise from like Friends of Scotland, which is a charity organisation that I had done something with a number of years ago. And so I had the meeting with Louise, and, you know, absolutely as soon as you spend time with her, you just get this amazing personality and so friendly and open. And that kind of continued through the whole process of making the film. It was extremely, you know, it wasn't one of those things where you weren't allowed to have any ideas or anything like that. It was, hey, let's talk about this. How can we work on the scene or the character or whatever? So it was just super, super inclusive. And I love that. And as an actor, that's just a dream. So we had a really, really fun shoot. It was a team effort, but I mean, this was Louise's film and she knocked it out of the park. So thank you for the opportunity.
In many ways, Ed was my co-pilot on a lot of things. And as we were rehearsing, we managed to come up with new ways to color our characters. And, you know, the Tyler that I wrote was nowhere near as charming as the Tyler that Ed created.
That is so neat. All right, there are some pretty intense fight scenes. I imagine throughout the choreography, is there ever an error? Were there ever any actual accidents?
Ed, do you want to answer that one?
I think some of them are in there. I think you see quite a few of them, you know. I think that adds to the comedy. There were a number of things that if you watch closely, you might be like, what is that? But I think that's to, you know, what this film is. You know, it's a bag of laughs. It's a heightened reality. It's exaggerated, and you know, that's what we want people to feel. We want people to know that when they're sitting down and going to watch this film, that they're going on a ride, and it's supposed to be an amusement park, you know, and that's what it is.
Well, it's amazing. They're telling me I have to leave you, but Bigley wants to tell you bye.
Oh, so cute. Hi, Bigley.
Oh, thank you.
He's adorable.
I loved the movie. I can't wait for everybody to see it. You guys are both brilliant. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you, and I hope to see you again sometime.
Nice to meet you too. Bye.
Bye.